Hi, in this video we are looking at how to use gradient as the foreground color for text in SwiftUI. Using the mask modifier, we need to mask the gradient with the text. So let's get started. To begin, I'm going to show you visually how the mask works. Over here in Guide, I'm going to press T to bring the text tool. Drag on the screen to make a text layer. With that selected, I'll go to the inspector, delete the text, and write slide to power off. I'll select the text layer and go to the inspector again. I'm going to remove the border. I'll click on the screen with nothing selected and go to the library. I'm going to drag a gradient layer to the screen and put the layer on top of the text. I'm going to drag the handle to cover the whole text like that. I'll go to the inspector and inspect the gradient. Let's change this point to something like blue, and you can see we have a vertical gradient running from the top to the bottom. We can go to the start and change this value to 1 and change the y value to 0.5 in order to create a horizontal gradient running from the top right to the bottom. To apply this gradient to the text, I'm going to select the text and move it on top of the gradient and release the mouse. And now we have now embedded the text into the gradient. So the gradient is the parent layer and the text is the child layer of the gradient. In order to mask the gradient to the text, I'm going to control click the text and select mask parent layer. The gradient has a border, but we can select the gradient layer and go to the inspector and remove the border. Let's go to Xcode and see how we can use the same techniques to apply the gradient to the text. Over here, I created a gradient. To create a gradient, you can go to the object library and drag angular gradient or linear gradient or radial gradient to the code, like so. By default, it takes the entire screen and the gradient consists of two colors. I'm going to press Command C in order to undo the change. I modified the gradient over here and added two more colors because the colors are array, so you can add as many colors you want. As I showed before, the gradient was having two colors, so I added two colors more to the gradient. The gradient took the entire screen, and here I defined the size of the gradient by using the frame modifier. So here the gradient has a width of 250 and a height of 40. To apply the gradient to a text, we need to use the mask modifier. So I apply the mask modifier to the gradient itself. We want to apply the gradient to the text. That is why I have defined here a text view as the mask. One good thing about the gradient is the start point and the end point are animatable. So we can use the end point or the start point to create something like the slide to power off animation you see on iPhones. So this is how you can apply a gradient as the foreground color for a text in SwiftUI. With this, I'm going to end here, and thanks for watching.